Hello everybody, this is Luna here. As you saw in the title, today we are diving into a breakdown and analysis of the Grounded Iceberg, created by Reddit user Apex Predator 3752. Huge thanks to them for letting me use the iceberg and clarifying some points. Now, if you somehow don't know what an iceberg chart is, well, 1. Where have you been? And 2. It's a chart that shows layers of knowledge about a topic, with the deeper layers revealing more obscure and sometimes creepy details. Grounded, for those who might not be familiar, is a first and third person cooperative survival game developed by Obsidian Entertainment and Xbox Game Studios, and it is easily my favorite game right now, and possibly ever. I've spent so much time playing Grounded, 700 hours at the time of writing the script, and there is so much stuff in this iceberg that I have never heard of. Fun fact, I actually first got Grounded back in December of 2020. Sadly, I didn't play much, so I don't remember a lot of the early access stuff. Oh, and before I forget, from this point on, major story spoilers! I don't want anybody in the comments whining that, I spoiled the story, so there you go, there's your warning. Okay, one last thing. This video isn't entirely meant to be watched by itself. It's more of a put on in the background while doing something type of video, though I will have footage and images relating to what I'm talking about, so anyone who just wants to watch the video will have something to do. Anyway, with all that said, let's dive into this very interesting Grounded Iceberg. Here we go. Four-leaf clover. The four-leaf clover is a discoverable landmark found in the flooded zone biome. It is located in an underwater cave with an entrance on the border of the grasslands. Finding this landmark will allow you to obtain the coup de grace mutation, either stage 1 or stage 2 depending if you already have the first stage unlocked. Unlike any other clover, you cannot destroy it. Trudy 2. Trudy 2 is apparently the name given to the koi fish in the pond after Trudy's wedding ring was somehow ingested by the koi. As stated in the poem on the back of Ham's test day 7, Wendell noticed the koi was choking on the ring and, with a slap, dislodged the ring along with one of her eyes. Ouch. This is supposedly why the ring is at the bottom of the pond. Man, talk about a sinking marriage, jeez. PAX East. PAX, originally known as Penny Arcade Expo, is a series of gaming culture festivals including tabletop, arcade, and video gaming. PAX is held annually in Seattle, Boston, Philadelphia, and Melbourne. Grounded has been featured a few times there, and it's where the 1.4 update was first shown to the public. No new creatures past 1.0. It looks like this entry is referring to a statement or belief circulating within the Grounded community, as I have not been able to find any official statements from Obsidian. It could stem from the general understanding that post 1.0 updates would focus on bug fixes, balancing, or quality of life improvements rather than adding anything major. However, they actually have added new creatures post 1.0. In the 1.4 Fully Yoked update, they added infected ants, which can be found in New Game Plus. Though this chart was actually made pre 1.4, so it might just be something people thought. Speaking of that, the creator of the iceberg did say that he would update the chart for 1.4. So, if you guys like this video and want to see more, I would 100% come back for another look at it. Omninent. Omninent Practical Technologies, or just Omninent, is a tech company that appears to have invented much of the tech scene in the labs across the backyard. Along with this, they at one point were the employers of Dr. Wendell Tully before he was fired due to being too obsessive over his spacer project. They are only seen to have a scientific and household goods division of the company, though it is likely more branches exist as well. They are pretty much the reason why the teens are in the backyard and why the whole game takes place. Wendell. Dr. Wendell Tully is a major character in Grounded and the inventor of the spacer that shrunk the teens. He is found in the depths of an undershed lab guarding the recipe for the embiggening cocktail, so Omninent doesn't get the recipe. In the previous entry, I said that Omninent was the reason the teens are here, but truly Wendell is, since he actually invented the machine that shrunk the players. Burgle. Burgle is a friendly robot found in the Oak Lab. He was created by Omninent and serves as acting science manager for Omninent's project. There were research chips within his CPU until they were lost and scattered throughout the yard. Returning these chips to Burgle is the main progression in the game. Adam Brennick. Adam Brennick is the director for Grounded. Not much else to add. Although I am severely sorry if I mispronounced his last name. Early access. Early access is a term used for video games in which the state of the game is in early development, but players are allowed to play the game. Like many other games, Grounded went through an early access phase starting on July 28, 2020 and ending on September 27, 2022. Teens. The teens are a bunch of, teenagers that the player can pick from when starting a new game. The names of the teens include Willow Branch, Maxwell, Max Smalls, Ali Hoops Noyen, and Pete Boggs. Rash. Rash is a landmark found in the eastern flooded zone biome. It is the torso of an action figure whose legs are either missing or fully submerged in the mud. This character is from a 1991 video game called Battletoads. It's a cool touch, but if I'm not wrong, Grounded takes place in October of 1990, so that's a little funny. Obsidian Entertainment. Obsidian Entertainment Incorporated is an American video game developer based in Irvine, California, and a part of Xbox Game Studios. Simply put, they are the developers of Grounded. Shared Worlds. Shared worlds are a feature in Grounded that allows players that aren't the host of the world to still play when the host is offline. Personally, I've never used this because I'm either playing by myself or with one other friend. Fist Build. The Fist Build is a type of playstyle that some say is actually quite good. This build consists of using your fists mainly. No, I'm not joking. Apparently the most broken loadout in the game uses your fists instead of a weapon. You need the Fire Ant Shield, a sleek mask of the Moldy Matriarch, a sleek chest of the Mother Demon, and sleek Moth Leggings. The trinket needs to be the Power Droplet, which I didn't even know was a thing. The mutation required are Little Fist, Truffle Tussle, Spore Lord, Parrymaster, and Smasher. Playgrounds. Playgrounds are a unique feature entirely separate from the base game modes, essentially being an enhanced version of Creative Mode. The player is able to spawn in any item in the game, spawn in unique assets from the base game, and have access to unique items targeted at world design that are unobtainable in normal survival saves. Casually Grounded. Casually Grounded is a series on the Obsidian Entertainment YouTube channel that features community manager Eric Dorobalia and player support specialist Chris Stanek as they play Grounded seemingly casually. I am very sorry if I butchered those last names. From the little bit that I've watched, it's kind of like a mix between a podcast and a Let's Play, which I think is pretty cool. It seems funny, and if you enjoy Grounded, I would suggest maybe taking a little peek at the series. Potato Chef Behind Brick Wall. Behind the brick wall of the Upper Grasslands area, in the Out of Bounds section of the map, there are 3 2D planes of Potato Chef. What the hell is a Potato Chef? Well, from my research, it's a developer joke, in which it is an early concept map of the backyard, but with multiple doodles on top to make it look like a potato chef. This is the first of many entries referring to this potato chef. Get used to it. Ominent worker skeletons. Throughout the yard, you can find skeletons of ominent workers who lost their lives in the backyard. Why are they even here? Honestly, I don't know. Pretty creepy. Sewer tunnel. The sewer tunnel was an area that was located in the western flooded zone near the Stepping Stone Summit. It appears to have gotten a somewhat revamped version in the Hot and Hazy update in the form of the exposed pipes. So, pretty much the sewer tunnel was an early version of the exposed pipe. The forest influence/references. The ant head totems may be a nod to the effigies found in the forest, with the cave they are found in already being a nod to the game. I've only played the forest like once, so I didn't get this reference at first. Sickly roly-poly parts. The sickly roly-poly is a creature that can be found in the western portion of the grasslands area, primarily around the trash heap and behind the sandbox. As opposed to the normal roly-poly, these ones are weaker and easier to kill. At some point, they would drop sickly roly-poly parts instead of normal roly-poly parts, which, for whatever reason, were used to craft the crusty roly-poly armor before the normal roly-poly armor was added. Oh my god, I am tired of saying roly-poly. TV show. Apparently, Grounded is supposed to be getting an animated TV show. It was announced 2 years ago, and from a Reddit post 1 year ago, they said it was still happening. Honestly, I'm super excited, and I hope it comes out sometime soon. Moldork Button. I couldn't find anything on this entry, however, through personal experience, I think I know what this point is talking about. If you go to the Moldork Castle set and hit the tongue with something, it will say, requires busting tool, though it seems hitting it with a busting tool doesn't do anything. This is certainly strange, and I still don't know what this does. If anybody can find anything relating to it, please tell me in the comments. I'm actually kind of interested. Hi, so this is Editing Luna here. Apparently I was wrong about this point. On the side of the Moldork Castle thing, there is actually just a button that you can press, and when you press it, Moldork says some, things, like, because, it's like a playset. So yeah, I'm just dumb. Anyway. Acorn Shovel Plus. The Acorn Shovel is a Tier 1 shovel used to harvest certain materials. Plus items are upgraded versions of items that are better at whatever their purpose is. Apparently, in early access, there was a burgle chip called the Cold Blood Stained Burgle Chip that granted you the crafting recipe for this item. Eye Patch Plus. The Eye Patch is a Tier 1 single-piece armor that increases the attack of the player by 10% when worn. However, it also reduces their damage resistance by 25%. Although the Plus version actually gave an attack stamina bonus too. Same as the Acorn Shovel Plus, the Eye Patch Plus is no longer in the game. Originally, it was obtained through giving Burgle the red anthill chip. Yoked Girth. Yoked Girth is a cartoon series in the world of Grounded. It appears to be heavily inspired by the real-life 80s cartoon He-Man. Yoked Girth appears to be the main protagonist of the cartoon, being a substitute for He-Man. He is also seen to have a catchphrase being, "Get yoked." So, what are you waiting for? Get yoked! Snail Shell. The snail shell is a thing. I don't know. I'm not sure how to describe it. There's a snail shell in the lower yard near one of the outposts. I can't find anything about it, and it's not referenced to nor interactable. I suppose it's just for decoration? Developer build leaks. I have no information about this entry specifically. However, the unimplemented/removed features wiki page states multiple times that the cut content was seen in a leaked developer build. So, it seems that a build leaked at some point. Honestly, I'm not surprised. There are so many other games that had stuff leaked about them, and at this point it's almost a tradition, I guess? Rotten Gas Mask. Rotten equipment, a direct opposite of the plus equipment, are weaker variants of common tools armors that can be found in specific areas that are one of a kind. These items normally have weaker stats than their normal variants, but can be analyzed to unlock their normal variants. One of these is the Rotten Gas Mask, which isn't actually in the game anymore. Apparently, this used to be found somewhere in the Hedge Lab. Newspapers. Using a signpost in the game allows you to put up certain images to spice up your living space. These sign designs feature newspaper-like images and are references to glitches or changes in the early access period of the game. The Flying Fish Spotted sign references a glitch that occurred shortly after aquatic enemies were introduced, wherein aquatic creatures were not held to water boundaries, allowing them to wander through the air. The Great Drought Ends plus Larvae Invade in Drones signs are both references to a bug in which no dew, juice, or soda drops would spawn anywhere in the world. The larva invasion was an entity spawn glitch that overpopulated the world with larvae, potentially rendering the game file unplayable until patched. The Rad Rock Gets Tossed sign is a reference to the old naming system of upgrade rocks, being nothing, cool, and then rad, that replaced quartzite, and the eventual name change of the upgrade rocks back to quartzite with new names for each tier: brittle, sturdy, and supreme. Weed Killer 420. Weed Killer 420 is a supposed brand of weed killer in the Grounded universe. A can of this weed killer can be found in the haze, and is actually the reason why the haze exists. There is a gaseous hole on top of the can that can be plugged up using a chunk of gum to stop the gas. However, watch out. Doing this will cause the fungi to spread all over the yard. This will also introduce infected wolf spiders. I sure hope you know how to parry. Old Broodmother. Prior to the Shroom and Doom update, the Broodmother was just an embiggened wolf spider with a different blob design in Arachnophobia mode. Also prior to the update, the Broodmother was located at the Flingman Flying Disc instead of being inside the web cave that she currently resides in. Beehive. This point could be referring to two different things, either the wasp nest or the actual beehive. I'm going to assume that since it's so far down this iceberg, it's talking about the actual beehive. So, if I'm wrong or there's actually something completely different, please tell me. Anyway, on a very high branch of the oak tree, there is actually a beehive nest. I'm honestly not sure why they added this, as it's so far up the tree that you kind of can't see it because of the blur. And no bees spawn from it, though the Grounded Wiki states that nectar can spawn up there. Weird. Neighbors throw food. I'm not entirely sure what this point is trying to say, and I couldn't find anything about it. I guess it might be a theory that the neighbors of the houses surrounding Wendell's house throw food into the backyard, and would be the reason for there being random food items thrown out the yard. Though there's nothing in the game itself that could hint that the neighbors throw food. However, since the Tullys' house is seemingly abandoned, as Wendell is always down in the yard, and Trudy and their kids left him, I suppose the possible theory could make sense. Custom mode obtainable achievements. The custom game mode is a game mode that allows you to customize your experience. Typically, custom game modes in games would disable gains such as achievements. However, there are apparently some that are still obtainable. The Grounded Wiki states one of these is the Underexposed achievement, which is obtained by using the photo mode. Different credits music. If you listen to the credits via selecting it in the main menu, the menu music sounds like this.
It's credits time. Credits time. It's credits time. You asked for the credits, now we're showing them to you. What you can see up on the screen now are the names of the people that made the game. You see them as they scroll up the screen like...
However, upon beating the game and letting the credits roll naturally, it sounds like this.
It's the end of the game, the end of the game. You did it, baby, yo, I said you did it. You finished the campaign, it's over, it's done, time to celebrate. Yo, you can sit back, relax, let the credits roll through. No more having to eat the magic mushroom.
The only reason I can think that they're different is because the music composed for the main menu credits is in the Year 1 album, while the credits music that plays in the natural credits roll was composed for the Year 2 album. Ant Queen boss fight. At one point in the game's development, there was going to be an Ant Queen boss fight. This was scrapped surprisingly quite late into 1.4's development. Not much else to say. Big Grub. The Big Grub is a much larger variant of the basic grub that was only seen via being spawned in with external cheats. It dropped much larger amounts of grub loot than their normal variant, and it's pretty much a grub version of the meaty gnat. Burgle used to be an ASL terminal. This one seems to be another self-explanatory one, though I couldn't find any evidence of this. I wouldn't be surprised if it was true, though. No Wasp Queen / Director Schmechter boss music. Yeah, another self-explanatory one. The boss fights for the Wasp Queen and Director Schmechter do not have their own unique music. The Wasp Queen fight uses the same music as the Mantis fight, and Director Schmechter also uses that music too. Old Armor Glue. Armor Glue was a workbench tool item that could be used to repair Tier 1 armors from damage. It has since been removed in favor with armors needing a fraction of the resources used to craft it to repair the armor. It had a variant that would repair Tier 2 and 3 armors called Super Armor Glue. It can currently be recycled in a grinder for a refund of resources, which is interesting. Mantis Pollen Attack. The Mantis originally had a pollen cloud attack that would activate in its second phase. This attack spawned in 3 pollen shots after its scream that would ricochet around the arena, making clouds that inflicted multiple debuffs. This attack was removed due to framerate issues with rendering in all the pollen clouds along with the Mantis attacks. Thank God this was removed, because it sounds like it would be a huge pain in the ass. Also, last time I checked, I don't think mantises use pollen for an attack in real life, but I could be wrong. Soldier Ant Veteran. The Soldier Ant Veteran was an apparently cut variant of the Red Soldier Ant. Its name hints that it was added and cut before the idea of additional ant types was thought of. It was nearly identical to normal Red Soldier Ants, but had more health and an additional attack. Berry Monster. In the Berry Outpost, located near the Squirts Carton, north of the Eastern Flooded Zone, There appears to be a room with a berry that has teeth. While researching this on the wiki, someone said that it could be a reference to TF2 of all things, because of the mutated bread. While it would be the best fucking reference ever, I don't believe it is, since food with human-like or even monster-like features has definitely been done before. Though, there is a scabby theme called gunmetal, so hey, who knows? Dan Bull. Dan Bull is a British rapper and songwriter best known for his songs about video games. On his YouTube channel, Dan Bull, he made 2 songs about Grounded called We're So Close to Home and It's a Small World. These songs are actually really good, and if you're a Grounded aficionado like I am, I would highly recommend you check them out. Lizard. The Lizard was a cut boss seen in a developer-leaked world, found under the sandbox under the sandcastle. It appeared that this would have been the final boss in progression, with its summoning item being apparently made from both parts of the Mantis and Fire Ant Queen. It is unfortunately confirmed to be cut for good by Adam Brennick, as they were unable to make it a compelling boss fight, and have said to never expect it to see the light of day. Out of all the cut content in Grounded, this is by far the most tragic one that was cut. The armor that you get from defeating it, and also a spear weapon, looks so cool, and god damn it, I am so sad that this was cut. Tripwire Bomb. The tripwire bomb was a trap that would cause 2 bombs to detonate when a player or creature would walk on the tripwire rope in the middle of the trap. When it was detonated, the bombs would explode and it would be destroyed. It was likely removed due to the explosive bird trap being added in the update it was removed, in which it was basically a better version. Shiny Ant Head. Shiny ant heads were a scrapped resource seen when using cheats. This item's use and source is extremely unknown, perhaps being obtained from a rarer variant of ants or even an entirely new species. If I had to guess, this could have been a very early version of gold creature cards. Web Clippers. The Web Clippers was a cut trinket that appeared to be planned for the 1.0 full release, but was cut. It would double all damage dealt to spiderwebs, web sacks, and Black Widow web sacks when equipped. It was likely removed due to the limited use of extra damage to webs. Rotten Black Ant Shovel. The Rotten Black Ant Shovel was a cut rotten variant of the Black Ant Shovel. It was only seen via external cheats, and it's unknown where it would have been located if added. Potato Chef on book cover. In the Brawny Boy bin, there is a Potato Chef hidden in the cover of one of the books. It's simply another hidden Potato Chef. Not much else to add. Mysterious Stranger Fallout New Vegas reference. The Mysterious Stranger mutation is a mutation that allows your attacks to have a 2% chance to spawn a friendly mant to fight alongside you before eventually dying. It is a reference to the Mysterious Stranger perk found in Fallout New Vegas, another game that Obsidian developed in which there is a chance to summon an ally to help you in combat. Though apparently Fallout 4 also has this perk as well, so I'm not sure why both the Grounded Wiki and this iceberg are so specific. Lab Chairs. Lab chairs were a resource seen in-game when using external cheats. It was never actually implemented in the game, but spawning it in would allow it to be carried like grass planks, stacking them on top of one another. It is possible they would have been able to be stolen from labs and used as decoration for bases. There were 2 variants seen when using cheats, a simple red armchair and a more modern yellow chair. Earwig. Being one of the many cut creatures, the Earwig was a creature never implemented into the game and only seen in an elite developer build found inside the shed. Their code is mostly identical to that of the larva, hinting that they were very unfinished. And weirdly though, the wiki states that alongside a spicy weakness, it also would have been weak to generic damage? To me, this doesn't really make sense, since I feel like generic damage shouldn't have any creatures that are weak nor resistant to it. Silverfish. Another cut creature never implemented into the game and also only seen in an elite developer world inside the shed. It is unknown what this creature did in-game, as it had no attack animations, heavily suggesting that it was a passive creature. Along with this, most of its code is shared with the aphid. This either hints that the creature was very unfinished or may have possibly had a similar mechanic to how scarabs work, being hard to catch and kill. Yet another cool insect cut from the game. Please, we are begging you to stop eating the paint. On the lid of the paint cans, you can read the text, "Please stop eating the paint, we are begging you." This implies that the consumers of the paint were literally consuming the paint. Pretty funny. Burgle Kill Mode. Looking at Burgle, you can see he has a kill button near the bottom right of his torso. Some whiteboards around the map also mention Burgle's kill mode. What this button would do once activated is unknown, but that may be for the better. Shyla Milk Carton Teen. The Squirts Carton is a landmark found in the eastern flooded zone located near the flower bed border. It is a milk carton that features the portraits of 4 missing teens, differing from the playable ones. The top left picture is confirmed to be based on one of the community managers, Shyla. Cassette tapes. Well, this one could mean one of two things. One, the tapes that can be picked up and listened to that were made by Wendell explaining the story, or two, the life-size cassette tapes found all around the backyard. Why this one is so far down the iceberg, I am also unsure of, but, it's here. Grid Kid. Grid Kid is the character that items are displayed on in the crafting menu. In Playgrounds, you can turn an armor dummy into the Grid Kid model. Roby's Burger Shop. Roby's Burger Shop is a fictional burger shop in the Grounded universe. Burgle seemingly used to be a robot that worked there since the shop was automated by robots. This is why Burgle constantly talks about food and burgers. Also, Burgle's name is a shortened version of Burger Lad. Pretty funny. Mouthtown. Mouthtown is a fictional company in the Grounded universe, appearing to be one of the largest commercial food distributors, owning many drinks, sodas, candies, and even supplements. Their products appear to be mostly targeted towards children, with many of their candies having cartoony characters or sketches on the packages. Their logo can be seen on almost all of the discarded food item packages, showing they produce a wide variety of food items. Clover Glider. The Clover Glider was a very early cut item seen in the Resources tab of the game using external cheats. It was very likely either an upgrade or early version of the Dandelion Tuft, likely being cut due to the Dandelion Tufts filling all of the glider's uses. Old Quartzite. Quartzite shards were a resource found in many cave systems. It was used to repair most tools when broken or damaged, but was also used to upgrade equipment up to level 5. Used in quartzite globs and quartzite jewels, it contributed to further equipment upgrades up to level 9 along the Mighty Path. This is different from how quartzite is now, because old quartzite didn't have any tiers like what we have now. Early Access Sign Frame. The sign frame is a decorative item that the player can place on walls to display certain art. There are a few sign designs available to the player at first, but more can be unlocked by purchasing sign sets from the signs shop. However, the Early Access sign set is only available to players who purchased the game before the 1.0 update. Firefly Lantern. The Firefly Lantern appeared to have been a very early version of the Firefly headlamp. Instead of being an armor piece, it was planned to be handheld, like a torch. It would also have a durability to its glow, having to be refilled to work. It was likely scrapped in favor of the headlamp. Real-life juice box. On social media, the devs have posted before about juice boxes that can be seen in the game that they turn into real-life juice boxes. Grub, berry, and pupa plating. Grub, berry, and pupa plating were material resources crafted from their respective resources and other resources. It was used to upgrade armor at a smithing station. It's actually pretty much the same as the brittle, sturdy, and supreme marble we have today. Grub was brittle, berry was sturdy, and pupa was supreme. Flowerbed, stained, and Grasslands Burgle chips. The Grasslands Burgle chip, found near Burgle in the Oak Lab, was the first chip players could obtain. It had no quest or raw science reward and was removed in the Bug Strike Back update, with its unlocks becoming standard shop items. The stained Burgle chip, located under a paint splatter in the Drylands, had it and its corresponding Cold Blood quest cut. The Flowerbed Burgle chip was an unimplemented chip only accessible via cheats, likely intended for the Flowerbed area, with some unlocks still available if cheated in. Child experimentation and murder. In Grounded, it is heavily emphasized that the unethical practices by Omninent and Director Schmechter include the kidnapping, experimentation, and possible eventual murder of children. Especially seeing how Director Schmechter originally labeled the teen crew we play as for extermination, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened before, and no less the possibility that he did kill previous teens. He's not a good guy, to say the least. 1.3 Door Easter Egg. I could be wrong about this one, but what I believe this entry to be talking about is the New Game Plus door that, previously before 1.4, would do nothing. In 1.3, it was there to probably hint at what was to come. I see this as less as an Easter egg and more of a teaser of sorts. Door clip / fling. You know what, I'm just gonna let this clip play for itself. It's pretty funny, honestly. Animal fur. Animal fur was a cut resource found in a leaked developer build inside the shed. It was found in the 2 large hamster cages in the area, likely being the fur on the 2 deceased hamsters found in the yard. Maybe at one point you could find the hamsters? Boxing gloves. The ant boxing glove and the berry skin fist wrap were cut weapons seen in the early demo builds of Grounded and by using external cheats. It appeared to have been a part of a cut fist-like weapon type. Its weapon type was likely cut in favor of simply bonuses or upgrades to basic fist attacks like the power droplet. Muscle sprouts are steroids. Well, that's an interesting theory. And, I mean, hey, mixing them in smoothies does grant you a huge healing bonus, so who's to say that they couldn't be a type steroid? Water Strider. Water Striders were a cut, unfinished creature seen in a developer-leaked build of the koi pond. They could be found on the lily pads across the pond and lacked any noticeable AI apart from slowly rotating. When attacked, they would face the player but would not attack themselves. They were cut very early on in development due to not working as intended. Harpoon. The harpoon gun was a cut ranged weapon seen in a leaked developer build for the koi pond. It functioned similarly to other ranged weapons like the sprig bow. It differed due to the fact that it used a unique type of ammo called harpoon bolts, and the bolts in question were not affected by gravity like arrows. The harpoon was also strangely able to be used on land, with the projectiles still lacking gravity. It's clear that it was unfinished when it was cut, as its model was fairly bulky and obscuring, as well as its animation being the spear attack animation. It also had a cut upgrade called the Tactical Harpoon Gun, which is funny because it appears that it's literally just the harpoon gun but with a light attached to it. Potato Chef behind the door. Another Potato Chef drawing can be seen on the inside of the shed. I'm not sure if it's still there since my resource was from 2021 when the northeast area was incomplete, but seeing as the shed inside was never updated, it may still be in there. Leech. Leeches were an aggressive creature seen in early leaked developer builds of the game, as well as possibly being included in the update 0.4 PTS. They could be found in mass inside the pond depths, sometimes even leaking out into the koi pond. Their AI was obviously not finished, as they would commonly be seen awkwardly struggling to swim around the water and mostly being unable to attack the player when aggressive. Their parts were used in crafting the harpoon gun. Hedge Lab Surveyor Lever. The Hedge Lab Surveyor Lever is a it's a lever that allows the player to activate the Resource Surveyor. I have no idea why it's so far down the iceberg, so yeah. Grounded Tattoo. In celebration of Grounded hitting a certain player count, one of the guys at Xbox got a burgle tattoo. Man, what a legend. Peeper Contest. The Peeper Contest was originally a fan-hosted contest from big Grounded content creators after the peeping feature was introduced in the game. Eventually, the developers learned about it and decided that a winner should get some cool merch. The contest included peeping as many creatures as you could, as fast as you could. Getting gold cards were worth extra points. Power Droplet Search. The Power Droplet is a trinket found in the game with a pretty hard to reach spot. It was introduced in 1.0, but nobody knew about it or found it for a couple of weeks/months. Then, the lead game designer, Andy, said that the Power Droplet was actually in the game and hidden on the map somewhere. Then, a week-long search for this droplet ensued, and it was finally found behind the Brawny Boy bin on one of the bricks. Andy said that it was his favorite trinket to make, and that the fist build is his favorite build in the game. Wicklow, Antrim, and Limerick. These are the codenames of the 3 different bosses, Wicklow being the Wasp Queen, Antrim being the Cut Ant Queen boss, and Limerick being the Cut Lizard boss. Wicklow, which again refers to the Wasp Queen, was seen in the game files for as far back as even before 1.0. Old cut traps. Simply put, there are a few trap buildings that were cut from the game. These include the Catapult, the Honey Trap, the Ice Trap, the Pebblet Dumper, the Plasma Orb, and the Tripwire Bomb. These were most likely scrapped due to either being tedious or not having much effect. Sign Frame Contest. Back in 2023, Obsidian led an art contest for people to see their art in the game. I was unable to find who won, unfortunately. Strider Skates. Strider Skates were a cut lower body armor seen in leaked developer builds for the Koi Pond, crafted from parts of the Water Strider. Its function appeared to allow the player to walk on water. It was likely cut due to not working as intended. The shed inside. The shed is by far the biggest cut content piece in the entire game. The shed's inside was a cut area of the backyard only seen in the leaked developer build of the game. Though it is unknown how to enter the area, there was a lab hallway located on the side of the shed, near the chair on the shed's porch. This may hint that it connected a lab at some point. It is very obvious the area would have been a parkour-like area, with the shelves in the back having ways to climb higher to the hornet's nest. The area has been confirmed to be cut for good, as the developers were unable to make it run in a stable state on Xboxes, and instead repurposed all of its assets into the Brawny Boy bin. The previously mentioned silverfish and earwigs would have also been here. This is why consoles suck! PC gaming for life! Woo! Dan the Hamster's the Third's death. That's a tongue twister. Dan the Hamster's the Third is a supposed pet of Wendell's children. In the dry grasslands near the haze, there is a cave next to the rake and a painted rock that says Dan the Hamster the Third, 1986 to 1987. Also, for some reason, the wiki says 1987 to 1988, which is just completely wrong. It is believed that since there is a skeleton of unknown origin deeper in the cave, that the spiders killed and possibly ate the hamster. Another thing, under the skeleton appears to be a piece of chewed gum. This could imply the children fed Dan gum. Now, I'm no expert on hamsters, but that doesn't sound like a good idea. Wood knots. Wood knots were an obstacle-like object found exclusively in some of the entrances to and inside of the termite den. They served to block some of the entrances and the termite king's room until the player got a termite axe. Pretty much, they were the splinters before they were added. Magnifying glass. The magnifying glass was a removed landmark of sorts that appeared in the early access versions of the game. I couldn't find much else about it other than this post on the Obsidian Entertainment forums and 2 images to accompany it. This is very interesting, as it seems the stump area was actually where the sandbox is now, though I could be wrong, so please correct me if I am. Mold. The dark mold clump is an unadded resource found in the resources tab using external cheats. It was likely a resource planned for the undershed or the inside of the shed. My guess is that it was an early version of pond moss. Also, I know the entry just says mold, but the dark mold was the only mold-like thing I could find. Whittling Into the Wood incident. Into the Wood was the 0.12 patch update for Grounded. It added and changed many things from balance changes to introducing half of the upper yard. Apparently, during this update, in the termite den, a whole bunch of whittlings would be present. This was not intended and was soon fixed. What's interesting is the fact that black widows weren't even added yet, so this brings the question, how the hell did this even happen? Wendell is an alcoholic. No. Absolutely no. I have played the game for over 700 hours now, and not once has the game ever referenced Wendell being an alcoholic. Burgle is sentient. There are multiple times in which Burgle speaks about stuff that could infer that he is at least somewhat sentient. This hasn't been 100% confirmed, but it's emphasized, I'd say. Potato Chef behind the shed. Oh my god, another Potato Chef entry. Look, I'm getting a little tired of this, but yeah, there he is, behind the shed. Yay! Old and Dead Burgle. There's an audio log that you can find where Wendell talks about Burgle and how he is a Mark IV. He also talks about the other Burgles that came before the current one that were scrapped. Considering Burgle says that he has feelings and could be sentient, like mentioned in the previous entry, this can be a little disturbing.
Burgle Transcription Unit 87.10.25. Order number 73.
I find it a wonder that the Burgle Mark IVs never caught on. I believe them to be far superior to the Mark IIIs. Those never lived up to my expectations.
How's that?
They could only calculate post-cooking burger weights to the nearest tenth of a pound. And they only had enough memory for one seasoning module, salt or pepper. All solved with you Mark IVs, not to mention your most excellent mustaches.
Thank you. I will never forget this moment.
Wait a minute. why are you reading this? During the Director Schmechter boss fight, Schmechter is shown on a little robot monitor thing, and on the bottom left side of the screen it says the words, "Wait a minute, why are you reading this?" Why is this here? Probably just for some fun. I mean, after all, why are you reading it? Mouthtown sponsors Ominent. Well, this one is either a theory or a fact, neither of which I can confirm. However, Mouthtown has been involved in little story events. One event was that Wendell was able to pitch his muscle sprouts he developed in the pond dome to the company, though they only came back with the idea of a breakfast cereal out of the food, so not much there sadly. Though considering the other theory that muscle sprouts could be steroids, yeah, old rugs. In very old demo builds of the game, there were these absolutely giant bee and lawn mite rugs that were removed and didn't make it into the game until 4 years later in the 1.4, along with the other rugs. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any images about these rugs. Huntsman Spider. The Huntsman Spider was a very early plant creature that was never seen in-game. Its only remnant that it was ever a considered creature is multiple voice lines of the teens tied to it found in the code, with many referencing its large size. It was never seen in-game in any other way. I'd absolutely love to hear these lines if they were ever acted, but unfortunately I couldn't find them. Bones? Bones, or B-Bones, was a 5th playable character that could have been spawned in with cheats, and even made to replace the player's current teen at some points in development. There is no unique dialogue or audio of the character. The character was actually more likely made to create the various bone models seen in the current game, laying them out in the style of the various teens to make them accurate. Black Ox Bomb. The hooked Black Ox Bomb was a cut explosive that would have served as a Tier 3 bomb. Its name hints that it was likely made from parts of a black ox beetle. It was sticky like a splatburst and had the use of moving or destroying multiple barriers inside the shed area, such as a cracked door in the hamster cage. 1.4 trailer leak. Alright, so this one is kind of weird actually. Apparently before the 1.4 update, on the PlayStation, or maybe just console in general, I'm not sure, Grounded store page, for some reason, along with the first 1.4 trailer, there was a second one that wasn't supposed to be there. It was later removed, but many people reported on it, so a lot of people knew about it. If this is wrong or not what the iceberg is talking about, I wouldn't be surprised, but please enlighten me if it is. Scrapped Schmechter death voice lines. Director Schmechter has multiple unused voice lines, most of which include taunts that likely would have passively been said by him, as well as possible unused or older versions of the phase transitions. Couldn't find anything about death lines, though. Compass. The compass was a cut item that appeared to never have been implemented, with its idea appearing to have been replaced by the compass seen on the in-game map. It's pretty easy to see why something like this was cut, especially when you have a map. Cut Valentine, Easter, and Patrick's Day items. Unfortunately, another entry where I couldn't find anything. It seems that all of the months with some sort of holiday have seasonal items. Perhaps this could be referring to the fact that there could be other items that were cut, rather than these holidays not having anything, because again, they do. Helicopter. The helicopter was a cut structure that could only be spawned with external cheats. When spawned in, it could be seen as a mismatch of various assets in the game, such as the normal chair, grass planks, and even some insect wings for the propellers. Its location in the files hint that it was made for more fun and as a test, and had no intention of ever being added. Potato Chef Origin. I swear to God, if there's another entry about this damned Potato Chef. Like I said in Tier 1, it's a developer joke. I'm not sure if there's actually anything more to its origins or if this one is just trying to be creepy. Dragonfly Sword. The Dragonfly Slayer was a cut Tier 4 weapon seen using cheats in the early updates of Grounded. It never really had an accurate damage or other stats, having 0 damage for most of the time it was available. Its name was likely a little play with some form of Dragon Slayer weapon, and not likely hinting at dragonflies being a creature in-game. Now, what's really interesting is the fact that this was a Tier 4 weapon. This implies that Tier 4 weapons were going to be available in the base game rather than the infused weapons in New Game Plus. IHOP Burger. Yeah, this was a thing. Apparently back in 2022, Xbox and IHOP, of all places, teamed up to bring out limited-time Xbox-inspired meal combos. It just so happens that Grounded was one of these games included. The Grounded meal consisted of a big brunch steak burger with hickory smoked bacon, a fried egg, a crispy potato pancake, American cheese, and IHOP sauce, served with a side of buttermilk pancakes. I'm gonna be honest, this sounds really gross and has absolutely fucking nothing to do with Grounded. I genuinely have no idea what they were going for. Andy's Supreme Stash. Back in earlier versions of Grounded, getting upgrade materials was very grindy. Since the upper yard wasn't in the game, there were very few tier 3 upgrade rocks. But Andy talked about having a stash of a lot of them in a very hard to get location. Eventually, this was discovered to be in the basket of the pink bike leading on the fence by the termite den. You couldn't get to it without building, so that's probably why it was eventually removed. Teen-sized skeletons. No. I don't believe that there are skeletons of the same size that teens are, or would be. The only skeletons that you can find are ones of dead Omniant workers. House window reflection. Apparently, if you stand on the south side of the oak tree lamp and stare directly into the black glass during the day, you can see this. This genuinely creeped me out the first time I saw this. A comment on a Reddit post explains this. I don't entirely understand what it means, but the last part of that comment makes it sound like they intentionally put a silhouette there for some reason. For whatever reason, I was unable to replicate this in my own game. Scabby is radioactive. This one seems to be another theory, but I couldn't find anything. There's nothing in the game that I could find that would suggest this. Maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. Zakmar. Pillars of Eternity is a party-based role-playing video game inspired by the Infinity Engine games set in an original fantasy world created by Obsidian Entertainment. Apparently, on the previously mentioned Shed Potato Chef, in one of his eyes, there is a card of the character Zakmar from the Pillars of Eternity game. Its relevance seems to be unknown, but possibly just a part of the developer joke, that is, Potato Chef. The Watcher. The Watcher was an unknown character present in older versions of the story, appearing to be a spy from Omniant watching Dr. Wendell Tully's experiments. The player would get information of this unknown character via finding two also cut strange notes located in small outposts located near Wendell's labs, with one in the upper portions of the hedge and another being a hidden room behind the server rack in the Haze lab. It is unknown who he was or what happened to him. It is last known that he retreated to the Black Anthill lab after recording info on Wendell's study on the haze fungus. This honestly sounds like some Herobrine, Scario, Bigfoot, and San Andreas creepypasta type shit, and I would be so unbelievably into it. Rise and Shine cut music. Rise and Shine is an unused theme that's actually still in the OST. You can listen to it too. My guess, with how calming it sounds and the name, would be that this would play after waking up in the morning. I'm actually sad that this was cut since it sounds very nice and fitting for the morning, if it was intended to play after waking up. Boomerang. The boomerang was a cut weapon which was only functional in the demo build of Grounded. It appears that the idea of it was cut very quickly, with it being unobtainable and having no info on it almost directly after the demo. I'm not entirely sure if this is what the entry is referring to, as the point is spelled boomerangs, like some sort of bomb boomerang. I don't know, I just assumed that it was a spelling error, and that's what we're gonna go with. What should be added survey. Back in 2021, Obsidian put out a survey that, you guessed it, asked players what should be added. Why this is so far down the iceberg, I'm not sure of, but it's here. Wendell is schizophrenic. Ah, here we go. This time a plausible theory about Wendell. Throughout the game, mainly the later half of the game, audio logs created by Wendell seem to hint towards the fact that he is becoming paranoid and perhaps schizophrenic. Now, is this confirmed? No, of course not. However, it is certainly possible.
The eyes. They are always watching. The backyard is watching. Strange noises, stranger occurrences, coincidences. Oh, I think not. Or is it my mind playing tricks on me? I feel the senility at the edges of my thoughts. I have grown so old. Just the other day, I found my tape recorder laying out that I knew I had put away. I would not have been so careless, and yet there it was. Could it have been Burgle? No. Such a conspiracy would be beyond his capabilities. Something darker is afoot. Ominent. Perhaps. I knew it might be too great a risk to liberate that equipment from them. Whatever it is always watching.
Every copy of Grounded is personalized. Okay, no, I'm joking. This is just a reference I'm making to the Super Mario 64 iceberg. There's no evidence that any personalization AI is in Grounded, not that anyone had tried looking or anything. Anyway, that was all the real entries. Let's get back to the surface and conclude this whole journey. Oh, wow, you're still here? Well, that's fantastic. If you stuck through this entire video, I want to sincerely and genuinely thank you. Whether or not you put it on in the background or watched it by itself, thank you. This was extremely fun to make, and I would certainly think about doing something similar in the future. Now, normally I would end it here, not having a lot to say, but this time I do. While researching the entries, I realized something specifically about the Grounded Wiki. It's honestly in a sad state. It's not the worst wiki I've seen. The graphics, when present, are nice and there's good information, but there's some things like grammatical errors, missing information, and such that I noticed many times. This could be due to the fact that there aren't many people willing to put information or fix anything on the wiki, which is also sad. I don't want to make this like a huge thing or anything, I just wanted to point it out since it's the wiki of my favorite game and it made me a little sad. Anyway, one last thing I'd like to do is shout out some people. These people either helped me in small ways or have been inspirational, not only to this video, but my YouTube career as a whole. Thank you to all these people, sincerely. Retro Gaming Now, for his iceberg videos. Nessie Retro, also for his iceberg videos. Sagan Hawks, for his very enjoyable content. Jaden Salads, also for his enjoyable content and inspiration. Pig Gamer, once again for his also enjoyable content. The Partisan Spy for his grounded videos and information. All of my friends, big thanks to May Calico and Cam Demand 863 for being awesome. And of course, all of you. I could shout out more people, but oh god, that would be a lot. Anyway, I gotta get back to playing Grounded for the 3000th time, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.